Today I was going to talk about the Deep Blue Sea Commander deck, which is a green, white, blue commander that focuses on clue tokens and card advantage. And it's from the Murder at Karlov Manor. Um, One of the suggested commanders is Morska Undersea Sleuth, and actually, um, the deck comes with two different um, cards, but this one's a slightly different um, stock or um, more cardboardy feel. Um, and then this one was the regular card, I guess you would say, like the rest of the deck. Um, it's a 2/3 legendary creature. Uh, Vidalkin Fish Detective. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. And the rules reminder says create a clue token. It's an artifact with 2, sacrifice this artifact, discard a card. Or not discard, draw a card, sorry. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put 2/1/1 counters on Morska Undersea Sleuth. So obviously with that as a commander, you're getting a clue, clue token every turn. You're drawing your card per turn, but then you're also able to sacrifice a clue to draw another card and add 2/1/1 counters to this. So, depending on what your opponent has, this could potentially get out of hand quick unless they have some removal. Um, Another one of the possible um, commanders is Sophia Dog Detective. It's a 3/4 legendary creature, a human detective. When Sophia Dog Detective enters the battlefield, create Tiny, a legendary 2/2 creature, green dog detective creature token with trample. And you can pay 1, sacrifice an artifact token. Put a 1/1 counter on each dog you control. Whenever a dog you control deals combat damage to a player, create a food token, then investigate. So, another commander that potentially has the potential to get out of hand if your opponent doesn't have an answer right away. It'd be interesting to see what some um, token doubling and or you know counter doubling would do for this deck, given um, the token this card makes is legendary, so you'd need something to um, make to ignore the legendary rule, basically. If you wanted to double those tokens. Um, oh, and that one cost 1, a green, a white, and a blue. The Morska just cost a green, a white, and a blue. Armed with Proof. It's an enchantment for 2 and a plains. When Armed with Proof enters the battlefield, investigate twice. And the rules reminder says to investigate, create a clue token. It's an artifact with to sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Clues you control are equipments in addition to their other types and have equipped creature gets +2/+0 and equipped 2. So that's kind of interesting that you can potentially use your clues not just to sacrifice to get another card, but you could also buff a creature with, +2/+0. Merchant of Truth. It's a 2/5 creature, an angel detective for 2 and 2 planes. Has flying. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. Clues you control have exalted. And the rules reminder, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each instance of exalted among permanents you control. So depending on how many clues you have, that might get out of hand. If you have 10 and you attack alone, a creature's getting 10/10/10, from exalted attacking alone. Serene Sleuth. It's a 2/2 creature, a human detective for 1 in a plains. When Serene Sleuth enters the battlefield, investigate. It has the rules reminder on it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, investigate for each goaded creature you control. Then each creature you control is no longer goaded. So that's kind of interesting that, it's a way of dealing with goaded creatures. And, in addition to dealing with that, you're also investigating. So kind of cool, I guess. Detective of the Month. It's a 2/3 creature, a human detective for 2 in the island. Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. As long as you have the city's blessing, detectives you control cannot be blocked, which is pretty good considering there's, obviously could be a lot of detectives in this commander deck. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. Follow the Bodies. It's a sorcery that costs 2 in an island. Gravestorm. When you cast this spell, copy it for each permanent put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn. Investigate. Create, and then it has the reminder text. So, you depending on how many permanents went into a graveyard this turn, you're potentially, investigating, 5 or 10 times. Might not always be the case. So, it's a very situational, really good card. You might investigate once or you might investigate 10 times. So sometimes it'll be good for its mana cost, and other times it'll just be an okay card at, 2 in a island. Next we have Tango Trove Kelp. It's a 6/6 artifact creature, a clue plant for 5 and 2 islands. It has Ward 2. At the beginning of each combat, other clues you control become 6/6 plant creatures in addition to their other types until end of turn. And you can pay 2, sacrifice, Tangled Cup, draw a card. So, I mean, I guess drawing a card would be beneficial in certain situations, but if you have a 6/6 that make other makes clues 6/6 creatures, I mean that's to be situationally more beneficial 99 times out of 100 than drawing that particular card. But there might be a situation that's beneficial. And innocuous researcher. It's a 3/4 creature, a senator detective for 3 in a forest. Parlay. Whenever innocuous researcher attacks, each player reveals the top card of the library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you investigate. Then each player draws a card. At the beginning of your end step, you may untap all lands you control. If you do, you can't cast spells until your next turn. So that kind of seems like a trade-off if you end up having stuff with flash, you wouldn't be able to play it even though you just untapped all your lands. And at that point, you would untap your lands at your during your next turn anyway. So I'm not 100% sure where that last part's going with, but otherwise seems like a decent card. On the Trail, it's an enchantment for 1 in a forest. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So, I mean, that seems beneficial if you end up with a lot of extra land in your hand, which with the card draw in this deck, you're bound to get maybe not a whole handful of lands, but you're likely to get more than you can play each turn. Knowledge is power. It's an enchantment for 3, a white, and or for a plains and an island. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn. So obviously in a deck that has different ways to draw cards, your creatures getting buffed from the card draw would be very beneficial. Ransom Note. I think we've seen this in the other Murder at Karlov Manor's decks. It's an artifact, a clue for 1. Whenever Ransom Note enters the battlefield, surveil 1. And you can pay 2, sacrifice Ransom Note, choose 1. Cloak the top card of your library. Go target creature or draw a card. Where this deck has a lot of draw stuff on and the last choice is drawing a card. Not surprised this is in there. And the ability to surveil 1 before drawing a card is kind of nice. Aerial Extortionist. It's a 4/3 creature, a bird soldier for 3 and 2 planes, has flying. Whenever aerial extortionist enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, exile up to one target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may cast it. Whenever another player casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. So that kind of seems cool, being able to exile cards at least temporarily. You know, the owner, whether it's you or someone, one of your opponents, um, can cast it from exile, so it can get replayed. Which, you know, if you're recasting it, you might get some enter the battlefield triggers, and then whenever another player is casting it, um, you're drawing a card. So you know, hey, this is going away, so you have to decide if you want to recast it or if you want to play something else that, you're forcing your opponents to kind of choose how to use their resources, to how to spend their mana. And if they are recasting something you exiled, you're getting the benefit of drawing a card on top of um, them not being able to cast up their stuff. Beanie Brock's Zoologist. It's a 3/2 legendary creature, an elf druid for 3 in a plains. Now, where it's a legendary creature, it could be a commander, but just not for this deck where it's a green, white, blue deck. It would have to be for a mono white deck. Has Convoke, and reminder text says your creatures can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. At the beginning of each end step, if you create a token this turn, draw a card. So there's a couple cards so far that we've seen that make tokens, and obviously that's going to give you the ability to draw cards. So I'm going to end this video here and pick it up at some point later in the week. Hopefully you found some value in this so far, and stay tuned for more from the Deep Clue Sea deck. And when I get done with this deck, I have some Doctor Who decks and Final Fantasy decks. Thanks, and have a good day.